Shyam Kund, Radha Kund, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Nath Puri Dham ki jai, Unamai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Harinam Yagya ki jai, Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Prem. All glories to the Assembly of Krishna. All glories to the Assembly of Krishna. All glories. Hare Krishna.
Important voice.
And Sri Gauranga. Oh.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, your audio is a little off. It's cycling in and out. You can,
Okay,
yeah.
let me something else. I think it's probably battery. Hold on. Okay, let's try it like this. This should be better.
Yes, I think it is.
Okay. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Good morning, devotees. Thank you for coming. So today we'll be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Verse 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Verse 2. Start with Sanskrit. Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Shrishtam Idam Prabho Yat Sangstam Yat Param Yakcha Tat Tatvam Vadhatat Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Shrishtam Idam Prabho Yat Sangstam Yat Param Yakcha Tat Tatvam Vadatattvataha Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Shrishtam Idam Prabho Yat Sangstam Yat Param Yakcha Tat Tatvam Vadatattvataha. Anyone else like to chant, please?
Yad rupam yad adishtanam yatha srishtam idam prabho yat samstham yat param yacha tat tatvam vada tatvataha.
Yadrupam yad adishtanam yatasrishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yacha tat tatvam vada tatvata. Hare Krishna.
Yad rupam yad adhisthanam yad srishtam yad idam prabho yad samstham yad param yacha tat tattvam bhada tattvataha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yadrupam yad adhistanam yatasistam idam prabho yad samstam yad param yakchat tat tatvam vada tatvataha. Hare Krishna. Yadrupam yad adhistanam yatasistam idam prabho yad samstam yad param yakchat tat tatvam vada tatvataha.
Word for word. Yat. What? Rupam. the symptoms of manifestation. Yat, what? Hadishtanam, background. Yata, from where? Shrishtam, created. Idam, this world. Prabho, O my father. Yat, in which? Sangshtam, conserved. Yat, what? Param, under control. Yat, what are? Cha, and. Tat, of this. Tattvam, the symptoms. Vada, please describe. Tatvataha, factually. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? And how is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? The inquiries by Narada Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. The atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories without any touch of cause and effect. The manifest world, as well as the spirit soul, is still unexplained by the godless atheists through the medium of experimental knowledge. Although they have put forward many theories manufactured by their fertile brains. Contrary to such mental speculative theories of creation, however, Narada Muni wanted to know all the facts of creation in truth and not by theories. Transcendental knowledge regarding the soul and the supersoul includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the basis of its creation. In the phenomenal world, three things are factually observed by any intelligent man: the living beings, the manifest world, and the ultimate control over them. The intelligent man can see that neither the living entity nor the phenomenal world are creations of chance. The symmetry of creation and its regulative actions and reactions suggest the plan of an intelligent brain behind them. And by genuine inquiry, one may find out the ultimate cause with the help of one who knows them factually. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulam Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Shtapitam Jena Putale Svayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadatita Svanda Swapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Basari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vikhasha Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachalini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hasyatya Desyatadine. Reading the verse one more time. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? Before beginning, I would like to ask for the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas in attendance here and throughout the universe, so I can speak something in line with Srila Prabhupada in the Parampara. So this is a very Great question, natural question that any thinking person has. So what is the background of this world? How did I end up here? Who created all of this? So we can consider something like a cell phone. Very technically advanced piece of machinery. And if I were to present the conclusion that this cell phone was a byproduct of chance, that the cell phone just happened to pop into existence based on a combination of elements by chance, of course, no one would accept that theory. No one would accept the factual basis that there was not a thinking brain behind something as complex as a cell phone. Although this is clearly obvious, and anyone that you spoke to in the world would never believe that something like a cell phone just popped into existence based on chance. As Prabhupada puts it here, the godless atheists are presenting theories that this manifest world, this material world, has come together by chance, by some combination of elements, combination of molecules and atoms, particles, light beams, dust, big bangs, that this manifest world has come together by chance. Although this is a widely accepted theory from the perspective of the modern worldview, when we dig just a little bit under the surface, we can recognize that actually there's no logical reasoning that would give us any reason to believe that something like this theory is the factual basis for the manifest world, its background, and how it is created and conserved. The modern approach, the scientific approach, is that there is an attempt to use our senses and our intellect and our mind to perceive the world and create some theories around how and why it has come into existence. And it is said that there is matter, and matter comes together and it creates life. But we understand actually that this is not correct. We understand this from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Pramanam, or the basis of truth, which is a higher authority. This is in stark contrast the modern so-called scientific approach, which is to perceive things with our senses, and the Vedic approach, which is to accept a higher authority and accept a scripture as the basis for fact and reality. And in that scripture, what we understand from our side is that actually life cannot come from anything but life. And that the source of our existence and the material world's existence, all of the elements in the material world, which are said to be the eight elements of the material world, come together And although they are understood to be the inferior energy of the Lord, as there are three distinct energies of the Lord, the internal potency, the external potency, and what is called the marginal potency, or the tatashta shakti, which is the jiva. You and I, all living entities, all the jiva souls, are the tatashta shakti. The material energy is, although inferior, still an energy of the Lord. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 10:8, aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva pajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. All spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. So we can understand that Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the source of all the spiritual and material worlds, and the material energy itself is coming from an emanation of the Supreme Lord. For example, we could say, we can understand the ocean. So many theories are being presented in relation to how the ocean was created. And if you look it up on Google or any search engine, maybe you put it in Chat GPT, you'll find that there is some theory around the creation of how the ocean came about. There's no factual basis. They put together many different supposed pramanams or proofs based on different ideas that they've concocted, as Prabhupada puts it, in their fertile brains. Although it must be accepted by faith by the common person that what they're saying is factual. But certainly these atheistic scientists that's described in this purport are looking at this as there's a combination of elements coming together, some clash here, some bang here, some fire here, that created this big pool of water. And it is being maintained by the gravitational pull of the earth and the moon and all of these other theories. But actually, we understand that the ocean itself is coming from Krishna, and that just like we as small living entities are perspiring, are producing water, liquid from our bodies. We don't do this consciously. We don't know how this is happening. Sure, the scientists or the modern people can say, hey, this is how perspiration is coming. But ultimately, this is happening naturally. This is happening as a result of the creation. And in the same way, it is understood that the oceans are perspiration from the Supreme Person. So that perspiration is coming from life. The oceans, even all of the material energy, is coming from the source, which is Krishna, which ultimately is life. And this material energy is ultimately dead matter without the presence of the soul within that material energy. Of course, we can see in the explanation, or the description has been given so many times that we've seen throughout Srila Prabhupada's work. When the body has the soul, of course, it is revered as a life. If you do something bad to that, you could go to prison. You know, the smallest infraction on a material body of another's material body, when the soul is in there, it is looked at as a great crime. Although as soon as the soul leaves that body, anyone with practical knowledge or any thinking person can see that there is no value to that body. What happens to it? It gets buried, it gets burned, it gets eaten by the jackals and the vultures. And what we understand is that this is actually, as we come to Krishna consciousness, we are getting a different view of where knowledge is coming from and who to accept and what to accept as an authority. And it is very practical and reasonable in relation to how this material energy unfolds. And it certainly requires a degree of faith to believe or to accept the version of the Vedic literature, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita. In one sense, there are certain aspects of it that cannot be proven without faith. So one needs to have some faith. And on the same token, what is presented as facts and theories, as facts by many of the so-called scientists, they want to decry religion, or they want to decry spirituality as those who are blindly believing in some book or some truth that cannot be proven, and that faith should not be a function for understanding our reality. But at the same time, those in the scientific community, and of course, even in the scientific community, and as a lay person, one must accept these theories as facts. And this purport is very nicely describing how this is taking place. Why is it taking place? Because the atheistic scientists are not understanding the correlation, as is put in the purport, between cause and effect. And we'll get a little bit more into this relationship between cause and effect. But ultimately, why is this happening? Why is it that the understanding of this world, the clear picture of cause and effect, one has taken birth. Why has one taken birth? And because one has taken birth, one has to die. But what is the cause of birth? This is the deeper question. And this is what is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But ultimately, what is it that's causing this illusion on the material energy? Namam duskrito mudha prapadyante naradtama maya prita gyan ashuram bhav ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake in the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So what is happening? So there's a shura bhav, the bhav, the demonic mentality is taking and stealing the maya prita gyan. Maya is taking away the intelligence, because the demonic kind of mentality is clouding and stealing the intelligence. So what is happening on our side is actually, we're seeing, when we come to Krishna consciousness and we are fortunate enough to have an inkling of faith, shraddha, the beginning of some kind of recognition that there is more than just enjoying oneself in this material world. And when we can break free from the basis of ashuram bhav, this demonic mentality of enjoyment, we understand that actually Krishna consciousness and the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita is delivering us and giving us a higher level of understanding and knowledge of all of the things that are taking place in this material world. And it is answering the questions that any person has, whether they're voicing them or not, or whether they've dulled them over or numbed them out, or have their, Maya Pritagyan, the material energy, stolen their intelligence. That where do we come from? What is this material energy? What is the point of all of this? Those answers are given to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Bhagavad Gita. And we are accepting these answers coming from the Bhagavad Gita as factual. We are accepting them as fact. And as it is put in this purport, so many theories are being presented as facts to the innocent public, presenting a basis for the demoniac worldview, which allows for the continuation of suffering in this sentence in the material world. It's from the materialistic perspective, all of this scientific approach, all of these theories, they're all on the mental platform. They're so heavy on the mental platform that not even the normal people, the everyday people that have these questions, where did we come from? How is this all being sustained? 99% of the people cannot explain what is actually happening, although they trust that these kind of scientific fancy words and vocabulary and theories of relativity and this and that, they accept, okay, well, they have it all figured out and they know what's going on, but it cannot be explained in a simple term, in a simple way. So people are accepting on faith. And so this cause and effect that we understand is that there is an ultimate cause. The ultimate cause is Krishna. And that ultimate cause is what is creating the effects of everything else. And when we take out that ultimate cause from our equation and we try to explore and understand the material world without the cause of it, then it's like fumbling in the dark and trying to present all of these different ideas and theories, but the basis for the original equation, if, like, for example, if it was like a math equation, a big long, algebraic equation, and the beginning of it, let's say it's 2 + 2 = 4. The beginning of the equation, and maybe that beginning is missing completely, or there's like one number missing, or it's wrong. It's saying, okay, it's 2 + 2 = 7. No, that's incorrect. So then the whole equation is wrong, and everything that comes after that can never be a presentation of factual reality. So this is Srila Prabhupada's ultimate goal and mission. So a very important part of what Srila Prabhupada wanted to present and to shift and change in this material, in his movement, was to present the factual basis according to the Vedas, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, of reality. And of course, he came to the United States, and his first attempts and approaches were to go to universities and try to speak to the intellectual class of the United States. Because from that perspective, he saw and he thought that if the scientific community can understand this very practical knowledge, then those at the lower rungs of society will follow them, which is, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, what great men do, the common men will follow. So Srila Prabhupada is But ultimately what ended up happening is Krishna had a different plan and kind of sent him the lower rungs of society in the beginning. But this did not change the reality of what Srila Prabhupada gave as a direction to his society and his movement, and wanted very deeply to present this scientific view, the real scientific view based on true knowledge, based on real knowledge that is according to the Vedas. Because as we are in this Krishna consciousness movement, and we are attempting to be followers of Srila Prabhupada, and as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we accept that there is a higher authority, as in the Vedic scriptures, and that is the ultimate authority. And that to try to perceive reality with our senses is a futile attempt because of the defects, the conditioned soul. We're in illusion. Let me see if I can remember them all. We prone to illusion, commit mistakes, imperfect senses, and cheating. I think that's the 4. But the main one in relation to this is that we have imperfect senses. We can't see. So it is important for us, because living in this world, in this modern world, the godless atheists, as it's put here, have done a very good job of presenting their worldview and establishing a society based on this worldview. And many of us, we have to work and live within this demoniac society and demoniac mentality. So it is very easy. Well, let's say very easy. There is a tendency, I know at least for myself, to be imposed upon and blur the lines of Vedic authority and modern science. And for sure there is some ability to find a medium, a middle ground to some degree, maybe. But so much of what is being presented it's really coming from a completely impersonal approach, a godless, empty view of reality, that it can creep into our everyday life and pull us away from the truth of reality, which is that Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, and everything is emanating from him. Krishna is the ultimate cause, the supreme cause. And that so many bogus theories are being presented, so many ideas are being presented, and that our job as followers of Srila Prabhupada and trying to maintain our faith is to continue to develop faith in the Vedic scriptures, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, and allow that to guide us and direct us in our everyday life. Because if we allow the presentation of reality based on the godless atheistic view, then we will be misled. And the reality is that those theories are changing all the time. And we can't have any real confidence that the theories that are being presented will actually give us any real satisfaction or support in this material world. Because the truth is the support in this material world is coming from Krishna. And the ultimate goal of human life is misunderstood. So if we accept this atheistic worldview, even if it's subtly, even if we're just, giving in a little bit to their concepts, they're missing the ultimate goal of life. And what is the ultimate goal of life? The ultimate goal of life is to understand the Atma Tattva, the truth of the soul. Because in this human form of life, we can understand the truth of the soul. And by understanding the truth of the soul, its place, its constitutional position, Jiver Sarup Hoy, Nitya Krishna Das, the eternal servitude to Krishna, then we can actually find peace and happiness in this material world. And yes, not to say that everything's going to be rosy, even if we can recognize that struggles and challenges come, but the struggles and challenges are very different once one has come to the understanding of the ultimate purpose of life. I don't know about you, but there are people in my life who do not practice Krishna consciousness. And from time to time, I speak with them, family members or those who I'm working with. And there's always some kind of looming catastrophe that's circling around their existence. And without the distinction of this material body, this material world is not all in all, and that actually whatever I'm experiencing in this material world is what is due to me, and ultimately Krishna has my greatest interest at heart, and that I can take shelter of the spiritual energy, chant Hare Krishna, find peace in that. With those those who are always dealing with these catastrophes in their life, they're struggling so hard, and there's nowhere to really take shelter, and it is such a unfortunate position. And especially for those of us who we have some care about people in our lives and things of that nature, that we want to try to share Krishna consciousness with them, because we know that if they just get this distinction of what is the Atma, and how do you perceive it, and how do you connect with it. And this is why we go out to try to share Krishna consciousness, so that we can actually try to give people this real knowledge, this real guidance. Srila Prabhupada gave us, and of course through his guru and through all of the acharyas, and ultimately coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna gave us this very wonderful process, and very simple process: chanting Hare Krishna, Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, chanting, taking prasadam, so that we ourselves can become purified in the process, support others in becoming purified. This is real welfare work. This is what is really meant from Srila Prabhupada's movement, what he came to the West to provide, which is the true factual knowledge of who we are and how we can come out of the suffering and the inevitable catastrophes that we will be facing in this material world, and to take shelter of an energy that will actually give us shelter. Just like Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill for the inhabitants of Vrindavan to give them shelter from the rains coming down, we also can stand underneath the shelter of this movement, of Srila Prabhupada's movement, to shelter ourselves from this reign of catastrophes and suffering that is ultimately happening, especially in this Kali Yuga. And, we may think that we're gaining some traction in this material world. Of course, this is the function of Maya, that we will get a nice job. We will get a nice wife. We will get a nice husband. We will have a nice house, nice children. Our children will have a nice marriage. Our children will get a nice job, go to a nice college. But it's described in that this is like a dream. This material world is like a dream. And we get so attached to the dream. And if we can recognize that this is that what is happening on this material plane, yes, there is some responsibility or duty that we are performing here in this material world. But to be attached to this dream as reality without recognizing that there is a reality. It's like, I don't know if you've ever had a dream where you realized it was a dream. You recognize that you're in a dream. And sometimes you can actually I can do things in this dream. I know I'm dreaming, so I can do what I want in this dream, as opposed to just being dragged along in the dream when you don't know that it's a dream. So yes, we're in this dream of the material energy, but that does not negate that there is a factual reality behind it, and there is an identity, and there is a person, and there is a source, and there is a cause that is creating the effects, which is then giving us what we have. And so we have this opportunity to recognize the truth of who we are, Atma Tattva, the truth of who we are, the Atma, the eternal soul, which is a fragmental part of the Supreme Soul, Krishna. And we are able to take this human form of life and utilize it to understand who we are, so that we don't have to continue to come back into this material world, which is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, suffering and full of misery. And as it is questioned in this verse by Narada Muni, what is the basis of all of this? This material world, where does it come from? We do not need to spend so much time and endeavor trying to establish every micron of this material world based on it is a foolish attempt. Because at the end of it, there will always be the basis of an imperfect approach. Anyone will accept that we cannot perceive everything perfectly. So one argument in relation to this is, okay, well, yes, it is true that we cannot perceive everything. But to accept that the Vedas are real doesn't follow. It's a non sequitur, which means it doesn't, just because you can't perceive everything perfectly, how can you say that the Vedas are perfect? It is a question to consider for one's own thinking, to develop our own faith. This is where we have to, or what is required is the understanding and recognition of some faith. We are always accepting some kind of faith, accepting something that cannot be proven in our common minds. So in that sense, we can utilize our time on this, in this material realm and in this material body, to establish our eternal relationship with Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which is a spiritual sound vibration, which is the Cheto Darpana Marjanam, which cleanses the dust of the accumulated dust over the heart, the contamination that we have had for countless lifetimes. Chanting this mantra, japa chanting, kirtan chanting, Sankirtan chanting, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, throwing ourselves into it as much as our mind will allow us to. With that, I will stop here and I will open it up for any questions, rebuttals, concerns, or anything else that any devotees would have to say in relation to this conversation. Yes, Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Shashi Shekhar Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class and the points that you brought forward. It made me many points you made today, but specifically the one about how modern society, scientific society, their view on this world is a lot different than the Vedic point of view. Even different theologies like Christianity, etc. They don't view this world as this dukalayama shastratam, that it's a hopeless endeavor to try to perfect this world, that it will ultimately fail. In fact, there's this attempt to try to be, make this world the perfect place. And when you look at, and I guess the reason I bring this up is because even like the description of heaven, like that Christians have, for the most part, I mean, what I was taught growing up, the Christians that I talked to, it's almost like it's this ideal material world. It's like the material world in its ideal sense. You reunite with all your family members. I remember Ravinda Shri Prabhu used to say, like, the idea of heaven that many Christians paint is like the great American suburb. Everybody's out back in this, summer day, you're with your family, you're having a barbecue, the band's playing, and then Jesus is just kind of like strolling along, giving high fives to people, while the frisbee's going and, the music's playing. But there's no real understanding of what the dharma, the nature of the soul is. So they just think this material world is a place we have to figure it out and perfect it because that's all we have. That's all we know. And that comes out, I think, in a lot of the actions, the theories, the laws that are placed within society. Anyway, you stimulated that thought as part of that class. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Is it chapter 16 that Krishna says that? Yeah, it's 16. I'm just looking for the verse here that, the demoniac people, they create religions that are basically just, so they create religions that are basically just extensions of the demoniac mentality. And of course, we don't want to be outwardly, presenting and saying, hey, these people are wrong and these religions are wrong. But ultimately, if we really look at it, there is a lack of understanding. But if you take the Vedic understanding of the soul and the highest supreme absolute truth, which is Krishna, it's like, you want to call it like a lower understanding, but it's a lack of true knowledge. I've been studying there's I guess you could call it an essay, or it's from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's called Dashmula Tattva, which many devotees probably have heard of this. It's the 10 roots of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And in that writing, which I don't know if the one that I have is like 100% bona fide, it's a PDF. But basically what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying is like that the highest teaching is the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's in the Dashmula Tattva, he outlines those teachings in like summarizes them in 10 points. Very, very interesting. Very simple. All those points we know, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur kind of organizes them in a very precise and nice way. But ultimately, in the second paragraph of the first chapter, I'm just going to read it. It'll take about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, but it really is on the point that you were just mentioning. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, wise men have conviction that the religion of humanity cannot be many. The eternal religion of mankind cannot be divided into extremely opposing factors. At root, eternal religion must be only one. Why have many religions then arisen? The correct answer is that the religion or dharma of man is one when the soul is in a pure condition. When the soul becomes conditioned, the dharma takes two forms, conditional and unconditional. Unconditional dharma does not differ no matter what country it is found in. When the soul takes on material designations, and consequently different place, time, and body due to variety in matter, conditional dharma makes its appearance in different countries and at different times. So it's like, I'll just finish. Conditional dharma takes on different forms and names in different countries. The dharma of the soul becomes unconditioned to the extent that the soul becomes freed from material conceptions. When the jivas reach the unconditioned state, they have only one dharma. So that I've been meditating on that, trying to really understand it. But somehow it just kind of came to me, and what you were mentioning is like there's this time, place, and circumstance, conditional dharma, these religions, these ideas, but ultimately there is the highest unconditional truth, which is given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of Krishna and the supreme absolute truth. So I don't know, interesting. If anyone wants to check it out, there's a PDF. If you look it up online, the Dasmula Tattva. So not to go off on a side tangent, but anything else? Okay. Thank you all for coming. And everyone have a Krishna conscious day. Vancha kalpa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpa tarupya stakripa sindhu vyeva.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.